You thought I wouldn't notice? The words cut through the mahogany-scented air of Gloria High Tower's Brooklyn living room. Her voice carried the weight of 64 years and 37 years of professional expertise. Across from her sat two people she once trusted with her life. Carl Benson shifted uncomfortably in his Italian leather shoes, his gray suit suddenly feeling restrictive. Tasha Reynolds, 28 and razor-sharp, maintained her composure, but her hands trembled slightly. The afternoon light filtered through lace curtains, casting shadows across Gloria's weathered face. "In my own house?" Gloria continued, her dark eyes never leaving Carl's face. The hidden security camera in the corner captured every micro-expression, every nervous twitch. What started as a friendly financial planning meeting had just become something far more dangerous. Gloria's mahogany dining table held 3 cups of sweet tea, now growing cold. Financial documents were spread across the polished surface like evidence at a crime scene. Carl cleared his throat, his usual CEO confidence cracking like old paint. "Gloria, I think there's been some misunderstanding about the asset management paperwork." His voice carried the practiced smoothness of a man accustomed to boardroom negotiations. But Gloria had spent decades reading between the lines of financial statements. She knew when numbers didn't add up, and she knew when people were lying. Tasha leaned forward, her amber eyes calculating, trying to salvage their carefully constructed plan. "Mrs. Hightower, we're only trying to help you organize your retirement portfolio." The younger woman's voice dripped with false concern, perfectly rehearsed compassion. But Gloria had been watching Tasha for months, noting every suspicious conversation. She'd seen how Tasha whispered with Carl behind closed office doors. How they both grew quiet whenever Gloria approached their impromptu meetings. "Help me?" Gloria's laugh was sharp as broken glass, cutting through their pretense. She reached into her leather briefcase, fingers moving with surgical precision. Out came a manila folder, thick with documents and photographs. "You mean like you helped me sign these power of attorney papers?" Carl's face went ashen, the color draining like water from a broken pipe. Tasha's professional mask finally slipped, revealing the desperation underneath. Gloria opened the folder with theatrical slowness, savoring their growing panic. Bank statements, transaction records, forged signatures all laid bare under the afternoon light. 37 years I've been balancing books and catching discrepancies," she said calmly. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice $600,000 worth of irregularities?" The room fell silent, except for the steady tick of her grandmother's antique clock. Carl tried to stand, but Gloria's stern gaze pinned him to his chair. "Sit down, Carl. We're just getting started." Her voice carried the authority of someone who'd spent decades commanding respect in boardrooms. Tasha's hands were visibly shaking now, her carefully applied makeup beginning to smudge. "The dementia rumors were a nice touch," Gloria continued, her tone conversational. "Spreading word around the office that I was losing my mental faculties." She pulled out a small digital recorder, placing it deliberately on the table. "Except I recorded every conversation, every meeting, every whispered conspiracy." Carl's breathing became labored, his chest rising and falling with obvious distress. "You can't prove anything," he whispered, but his voice lacked conviction. Gloria smiled, a predator finally revealing her teeth to cornered prey. "Can't I? Let me refresh your memory about our little chat last Thursday." She pressed play on the recorder, and Carl's own voice filled the room. "She's old, confused, perfect for what we need. Once we get the house, we're golden." Tasha gasped audibly, her professional composure completely shattered now. The recording continued, capturing their casual discussion of fraud and manipulation. "You used my reputation, my trust, my position to cover your illegal activities." Gloria's voice remained steady, but fury blazed behind her calm exterior. "You made me your pawn, Carl. Your insurance policy against federal investigators." She stood up slowly, her 5'6" frame suddenly towering over both conspirators. But here's what you didn't count on. I'm nobody's pawn. The security camera continued recording silently, capturing this moment of reckoning. Carl finally found his voice, desperation making it crack like a teenager's. Gloria, please, we can work something out. Split the profits, nobody gets hurt. Nobody gets hurt? Gloria's eyebrows rose in disbelief. You tried to steal my home, destroy my reputation, and ruin my career. She walked to the window, gazing out at the Brooklyn neighborhood she'd called home. This house represents 40 years of hard work, sacrifice, and financial discipline. Her reflection in the glass showed a woman who'd survived decades of corporate warfare. You thought because I'm a 64-year-old black woman, I'd be easy prey. She turned back to face them, her expression harder than carved stone. You thought wrong. Tasha finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. What do you want from us? Gloria returned to her chair, settling in like a judge preparing to deliver sentence. Justice, complete restoration of my assets, and your full confession to federal authorities. The afternoon light was fading, casting longer shadows across the confrontation. You have exactly 24 hours to turn yourselves in, Gloria announced. After that, I take this evidence directly to the FBI Financial Crimes Division. Carl stood shakily, his empire of illegal schemes crumbling around him. Tasha remained frozen, understanding that her ambitious climb had just become a devastating fall. As they moved toward the door, Gloria called out one final warning. And if you even think about running, remember this, I know where every dollar is hidden. 64 and still sharp. That's what Gloria High Tower whispered to herself every morning while brewing coffee. Standing in her Brooklyn kitchen, she gazed through windows overlooking her perfectly manicured garden. The $600,000 brownstone represented 4 decades of financial discipline and sacrifice. Every mortgage payment made on time, every unnecessary expense eliminated with ruthless efficiency. At 64, widowed for 7 years, Gloria had built something magnificent from nothing. Her late husband Marcus had left her memories and love, but no fortune. This house, this security, this respect, she'd earned every single brick. The morning sunlight painted golden stripes across her hardwood floors. Gloria adjusted her navy blue blazer, checking her reflection in the hallway mirror. Gray hair pulled into an elegant chignon, minimal makeup highlighting her striking cheekbones. She carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who'd survived corporate warfare. 37 years at Henderson Import-Export had taught her to read people like balance sheets. The subway ride to Manhattan gave her time to review yesterday's troubling audit report. Numbers that didn't add up, transactions that made no logical sense. Someone was moving money through shell companies, hiding profits from federal investigators. Her trained eye caught discrepancies that younger accountants dismissed as clerical errors. But Gloria knew better. She'd seen this pattern before during the Enron collapse. The elevator climbed to the 32nd floor, carrying her toward another day of discovery. Henderson Import-Export occupied half the floor, all glass walls and modern efficiency. Gloria's corner office overlooked the East River, a testament to her professional standing. She'd earned this view through decades of catching mistakes others missed. Her computer hummed to life as she began dissecting the suspicious financial records. Column by column, transaction by transaction, the pattern became increasingly clear. Someone was systematically laundering money through legitimate business operations. The amounts were staggering, millions flowing through accounts that shouldn't exist. Carl Benson appeared in her doorway, his expensive suit unable to hide nervous energy. "Morning, Gloria. How's that audit report coming along?" His smile seemed forced, artificial warmth masking obvious anxiety. "Interesting reading, Carl. These shell company transactions need immediate explanation." She watched his face carefully, noting the micro-expressions of guilt and fear. "Oh, those. Probably just overseas banking delays. You know how it is." His dismissive wave didn't match the sweat beading on his forehead. Gloria had worked with Carl for 15 years, watching his gradual moral decline. Once an honest businessman, he'd slowly embraced increasingly questionable practices. Banking delays don't explain phantom employees receiving payroll disbursements, she said calmly. Carl's jaw tightened, his mask of friendship finally beginning to slip. Maybe you're reading too much into routine bookkeeping, Gloria. The condescension in his voice was unmistakable, dripping with implied dismissal. Are you questioning my professional judgment after 37 years of accuracy? Her tone remained professional, but steel reinforced every carefully chosen word. Carl forced another artificial smile, retreating towards safer conversational territory. Of course not. You're irreplaceable here, Gloria. Absolutely irreplaceable. But his eyes told a different story, calculating and cold. After he left, Gloria noticed Tasha Reynolds hovering near the door. 28 years old, Harvard MBA, ambitious as a Wall Street shark. Tasha had joined the company 6 months ago, supposedly to learn accounting. But Gloria sensed something predatory beneath the eager student facade. Mrs. High Tower, could I shadow you today? I'm still learning your methods. The younger woman's smile was perfectly practiced, professionally warm yet somehow hollow. Of course, Tasha. Pull up a chair and watch a master work. Gloria's invitation carried layers of meaning, testing Tasha's true intentions. Throughout the morning, she noticed Tasha's eyes focusing on specific documents. Not the educational materials she claimed to study, but the suspicious transactions. Tasha took careful notes, photographing screens when she thought Gloria wasn't looking. But Gloria had peripheral vision, sharpened by decades of corporate survival. During lunch, she observed Tasha whispering urgently with Carl in his office. Their body language suggested conspiracy rather than casual workplace conversation. Gloria's instincts, honed by years of detecting financial irregularities, screamed warnings. That afternoon, Harvey Tran arrived for an unscheduled meeting with Carl. Gloria recognized the type: immediately expensive suit, nervous energy, shifty eyes. A lawyer who specialized in making problems disappear for the right price. She watched through glass walls as Harvey spread documents across Carl's desk. Their discussion grew heated, with frequent glances toward Gloria's office. Tasha joined the meeting, contributing observations while casting worried looks toward Gloria. The three conspirators formed a triangle of whispered urgency and obvious anxiety. Gloria pretended to focus on spreadsheets while actually studying their suspicious behavior. Her decades of experience reading people told her everything she needed to know. They were planning something that involved her personally, not just professionally. That evening, Gloria sat in her Brooklyn living room, processing the day's revelations. The house felt different now, less sanctuary than potential target. She'd worked too hard and sacrificed too much to lose everything now. Her late husband Marcus had always said she was the smartest person he knew. Time to prove him right, she whispered to his photograph on the mantel. Gloria opened her laptop, beginning to trace the financial web Carl had woven. Every transaction told a story, every account revealed another layer of deception. She'd spent her career following money trails, now she'd follow this one home. The security system installer arrived early the next morning, as scheduled. State-of-the-art cameras, Mrs. High Tower. Motion-activated, crystal-clear audio. She'd told Carl the installation was for general home security purposes. But Gloria had more specific surveillance targets in mind than random burglars. The cameras would capture every conversation, every scheming whisper, every betraying gesture. If they wanted to use her house as their meeting place, she'd be ready. Her financial expertise had built this fortress of brick and mortar. Now it would help her defend what she'd rightfully earned. The game was just beginning, and Gloria High Tower intended to win. Whispers of dementia. The poison started slowly, spreading through the office like invisible smoke. Gloria noticed the subtle changes, first conversations that stopped when she approached. Colleagues who once sought her expertise now exchanged meaningful glances behind her back. Tasha Reynolds moved through the office like a skilled puppeteer, pulling invisible strings. "Have you noticed Gloria seems a bit confused lately?" she whispered to Janet from HR. Her voice carried just the right mix of concern and professional obligation. "She asked me the same question 3 times yesterday about the Morrison account." The lie rolled off Tasha's tongue with practiced ease, planting seeds of doubt. Janet's eyebrows rose with worry, already mentally filing the information away. Within days, the Whisper campaign had infected every department like a contagious disease. Gloria left her computer unlocked again, Tasha mentioned to the IT director. "I found sensitive financial data displayed for anyone to see." Another carefully crafted fabrication designed to undermine Gloria's legendary reputation for precision. The IT director nodded gravely, making notes about potential security breaches. Meanwhile, Carl perfected his role as the concerned, caring boss watching over Gloria. "I'm worried about her," he told the partners during their weekly meeting. 37 years of excellent service, but age catches up with everyone eventually. His performance was Oscar-worthy, mixing genuine regret with manufactured concern. "Maybe it's time we discuss succession planning for her position," he suggested. The partners exchanged troubled looks, none wanting to address the uncomfortable reality. Gloria sat in her office, fully aware of the campaign being waged against her. Her decades of corporate experience had taught her to recognize character assassination tactics. She watched Tasha's movements with the calculating gaze of a master chess player. Every whispered conversation, every concerned glance, every manufactured incident was cataloged mentally. But instead of confronting the lies directly, Gloria chose a different strategy entirely. She would give them exactly what they expected to see. That afternoon, she deliberately left a spreadsheet open on her computer screen. Nothing sensitive, just routine calculations that appeared accidentally forgotten. Tasha noticed immediately, her eyes lighting up with predatory satisfaction. "Mrs. High Tower, you left your Morrison projections visible," she said with false helpfulness. "Oh my, thank you, dear. I don't know where my mind was." Gloria's performance was flawless, playing the role of declining mental acuity perfectly. She watched Tasha's confidence grow with each manufactured moment of forgetfulness. Meanwhile, Carl escalated his campaign of manufactured concern for Gloria's well-being. "Gloria, we need to discuss your financial future," he said during their meeting. His office felt smaller than usual, decorated with fake sincerity and hidden agendas. At our age, it's important to have proper legal protections in place. The word "our" was particularly galling, considering Carl was 12 years younger. "I've been thinking about power of attorney arrangements," he continued smoothly, "just to ensure your assets are protected if anything should happen." Gloria nodded thoughtfully, playing the role of grateful, trusting employee perfectly. "That's very thoughtful of you, Carl. I appreciate your concern." Inside, her mind was racing through the legal implications of his suggestion. Power of attorney would give someone complete control over her financial decisions, including the authority to sell her $600,000 Brooklyn home without consent. "I know an excellent attorney who specializes in elder care planning," Carl offered. Harvey Tran's business card appeared across the desk like a loaded weapon. Gloria accepted it with appropriate gratitude, masking her growing understanding of their scheme. That evening, she called a different kind of attorney entirely. Marcus Chen specialized in financial fraud and elder abuse cases. His reputation for dismantling complex financial conspiracies was legendary in legal circles. "They're trying to steal my house," she told him during their confidential consultation. "I need to gather evidence without alerting them to my awareness." Marcus nodded grimly, understanding the delicate nature of her situation completely. "We'll need recordings, documents, proof of their manipulation tactics," he explained. "Can you get them to incriminate themselves on tape?" Gloria smiled for the first time in weeks, feeling pieces clicking into place. Leave that to me. I've been setting traps for 37 years. The next morning, she arrived at work with a tiny recording device hidden carefully. Her purse now contained a digital recorder smaller than a pack of gum. Every conversation would be captured, every conspiratorial whisper preserved as evidence. Carl and Tasha increased the pressure systematically, like skilled psychological torturers. Her workload doubled overnight, impossible deadlines appearing from thin air. "Sorry, Gloria, but the Singapore contract needs review by tomorrow morning," Carl announced. The timeline was deliberately impossible, designed to create stress and apparent confusion. Gloria accepted the assignment with weary resignation, playing her role perfectly. That night, she worked until 3 a.m., completing every task flawlessly. But at the office, she made sure to appear frazzled and overwhelmed. "I'm not sure I calculated the currency conversion correctly," she mentioned to Tasha. Her deliberate uncertainty was like blood in the water to a circling shark. Tasha's eyes gleamed with satisfaction, sensing Gloria's apparent deteriorating confidence. "Don't worry, Mrs. Hightower. We're all here to support you." The false compassion in her voice was nauseating but perfectly captured on audio. Meanwhile, the isolation campaign intensified with surgical precision throughout the office. Lunch invitations stopped arriving. Casual conversations grew awkward and forced. Colleagues who once respected her expertise now treated her like fragile china. The psychological warfare was expertly orchestrated, designed to break her spirit completely. But Gloria had survived far worse during her decades in corporate America. She'd weathered recessions, hostile takeovers, and countless attempts at professional sabotage. These amateurs had no idea they were playing with a master strategist. Her security cameras at home were fully operational now, recording everything silently. The audio devices captured every workplace conversation with crystal clarity. Soon, very soon, she would have everything needed to destroy them completely. The trap was set, the bait was irresistible, and her enemies were walking blindly forward. "The ledger never lies." Those 4 words had guided Gloria Hightower through 37 years of professional excellence. Now they would become her weapon against the conspiracy threatening to destroy her. At midnight, her Brooklyn dining room transformed into a war room of financial warfare. Spreadsheets covered every inch of mahogany surface, illuminated by the desk lamp's glow. Bank statements, transaction records, and internal memos created a paper trail of corruption. Gloria's reading glasses reflected numbers that told stories of greed and betrayal. Each figure represented another thread in the web of deception Carl had woven. Her trained eye caught patterns that would escape younger, less experienced accountants. Monthly transfers of $25,000 to Harvey Tran's legal firm. Always on the 15th, always from accounts that shouldn't have existed. Shell companies with names like Meridian Holdings and Apex Financial Solutions appeared repeatedly. None of these entities had legitimate business purposes or actual physical addresses. Gloria cross-referenced the account numbers with Henderson Import-Export's internal banking records. The connections painted a clear picture of systematic money laundering and tax evasion. Her calculator worked overtime, totaling millions in illegal transfers over 2 years. Carl had been using the company as his personal piggy bank systematically. But more disturbing were the payments flowing directly into Tasha's personal accounts. 20 payments of $5,000 each, perfectly spaced to avoid detection. Payment for services rendered, the memo lines read with obvious criminal implications. Gloria photographed every document, creating an unbreakable chain of evidence. Her decades of experience with financial fraud investigations now served her perfectly. At 3 a.m., she finally allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction. The predators had underestimated their prey, assuming age meant weakness. They had no idea they were dealing with a master of financial forensics. The next morning, Gloria placed 2 critical phone calls from her kitchen. First, to Deborah Quinn, Manhattan's most feared financial crimes attorney. Deborah's reputation for dismantling white-collar conspiracies was legendary among prosecutors. "I need someone who specializes in elder financial abuse," Gloria explained. Her voice carried the steel of someone who'd made an irrevocable decision. Deborah's office overlooked Wall Street, surrounded by law books and victory photographs. 67% conviction rate in financial fraud cases, she stated matter-of-factly. Her gray hair and sharp suit suggested someone who didn't lose battles. "Show me what you found," she commanded, spreading Gloria's evidence across her desk. The documents told their story with mathematical precision and undeniable clarity. "This is textbook conspiracy, forgery, and elder abuse," Deborah announced grimly. "We can put them away for decades if we play this correctly." Gloria's second call went to Lou Alvarez, a retired IRS investigator turned private detective. His gravelly voice carried the authority of someone who'd seen every scam. 30 years chasing tax cheats and financial fraudsters, he growled into the phone. These amateur-hour crooks picked the wrong target for their schemes. Lou's office felt like a detective movie set, complete with filing cabinets and coffee stains. His weathered face had seen every variation of human greed and deception. "They're using classic elder abuse tactics," he explained, reviewing Gloria's documentation. "Isolation, psychological manipulation, financial coercion textbook, predatory behavior." Together, the three formed an unlikely but formidable team of professional expertise. Gloria provided financial forensics. Deborah handled legal strategy. Lou gathered additional evidence. "We need them to incriminate themselves on tape," Lou suggested. His experience with sting operations would prove invaluable for gathering confession evidence. "Can you get them to meet at your house again?" he asked. Gloria smiled with predatory anticipation, chess pieces moving in her mind. "Leave that to me. I know exactly what bait they'll find irresistible." That evening, she called Carl with perfectly manufactured distress in her voice. "I'm so confused about these power of attorney documents," she said weakly. Her performance was Academy Award worthy, conveying vulnerability and mounting desperation. "Could you and Tasha come by tomorrow evening to explain everything again?" Carl's eagerness was almost comically obvious through the phone line. "Of course, Gloria. We're here to help you through this difficult time." His false compassion made her skin crawl, but she maintained her helpless act. "I'll prepare some tea, and we can go through everything slowly." The trap was set with the precision of a Swiss timepiece. Meanwhile, Lou installed additional recording equipment throughout Gloria's house. Hidden cameras in the living room captured multiple angles with crystal clarity. Professional-grade microphones ensured every whispered conspiracy would be preserved forever. "This setup would make the FBI jealous," Lou commented with professional pride. Deborah prepared the legal framework for presenting evidence to federal prosecutors. "Once we have their confessions, this becomes a slam-dunk case," she assured Gloria. "Financial fraud, conspiracy, elder abuse, they'll face serious federal time." Gloria spent the day reviewing her financial evidence one final time. Every transaction traced, every shell company exposed, every illegal payment documented. Her accounting expertise had built an unshakable case against her tormentors. The numbers never lied, and these numbers screamed criminal conspiracy. As evening approached, she felt the familiar calm of someone prepared for battle. 37 years of corporate warfare had trained her for this exact moment. Carl and Tasha thought they were coming to claim their final victory. Instead, they were walking directly into the perfectly constructed trap. The dining room was set for 3, but only one person would leave victorious. Gloria checked her reflection one last time, adjusting her grandmother's pearl necklace. Tonight, the hunter would finally reveal herself to her unsuspecting prey. The ledger never lies, and tonight it would tell the complete truth. Operation Grandma. That's what Lou Alvarez called it during their final strategy meeting. The name brought a rare smile to Gloria's lips despite the gravity ahead. Her Brooklyn dining room had become mission control for the evening's operation. Lou adjusted the wireless receiver, ensuring crystal-clear audio transmission to his surveillance van. Every microphone is active, every camera angle optimized, he reported with professional satisfaction. Deborah Quinn reviewed her legal checklist one final time, pen poised for documentation. We need clear admissions of conspiracy, fraud, and elder abuse on tape. Her prosecutorial experience had taught her exactly what evidence would ensure convictions. Gloria nodded calmly, straightening her navy cardigan with deliberate precision. At 64, she felt more focused than she had in decades. The afternoon sun filtered through lace curtains, casting familiar shadows across mahogany furniture. Everything looked perfectly normal, concealing the sophisticated surveillance operation beneath domestic tranquility. Remember, you're the confused elderly woman seeking their help, Deborah reminded her. Let them feel powerful. Let them boast about their cleverness. Gloria's performance would need to be flawless, balancing vulnerability with strategic manipulation. At precisely 6 p.m., Carl's BMW pulled into her driveway. Harvey Tran emerged from the passenger seat, briefcase in hand. Tasha followed from the back, her ambitious eyes already calculating victory. They walked up Gloria's front steps like conquerors approaching a surrendered fortress. The doorbell's chime triggered recording devices hidden throughout the house. Welcome, welcome. Gloria greeted them with manufactured warmth and nervous energy. Her voice carried just the right tremor of elderly uncertainty. Please, come sit in the living room where we can spread everything out. The mahogany coffee table held financial documents artfully arranged for their inspection. Carl settled into the leather armchair, his confidence radiating like visible heat. Harvey chose the sofa, opening his briefcase with practiced legal efficiency. Tasha perched on the edge of her seat, barely containing her predatory excitement. Now, Gloria, we're here to finalize your asset protection strategy, Carl began smoothly. His patronizing tone carried the false warmth of a skilled manipulator. These documents will ensure your financial security for years to come. Harvey spread contracts across the coffee table like a dealer displaying marked cards. The power of attorney transfer is really just a formality, he explained dismissively. It protects your interests while giving us authority to manage everything properly. Gloria leaned forward, squinting at the documents with calculated confusion. I'm still not entirely sure I understand how this all works. Her performance was masterful, conveying exactly the right blend of trust and bewilderment. Carl's smile grew wider, sensing what he believed was final victory. Don't worry about the details, Gloria. We're handling everything for you. The condescension in his voice was so thick it was almost visible. Tasha added her own layer of false reassurance to the deception. Mrs. Hightower, you've worked so hard for so many years building your wealth. Now you can finally relax and let younger minds handle the complexities. The word younger carried particular venom, designed to reinforce Gloria's supposed inadequacy. Outside in the surveillance van, Lou and Deborah listened with growing anticipation. They're walking right into it, Lou whispered into his radio headset. The digital recording equipment captured every nuance of the unfolding conspiracy. Inside, Harvey grew impatient with the pace of Gloria's apparent decision-making process. Time is really of the essence here, he pressed with obvious irritation. The longer we wait, the more vulnerable your assets become to creditors. This was pure fiction, designed to create artificial urgency and pressure. Gloria pretended to waver, her hands trembling slightly as she reached for the pen. I suppose if you all think it's best for my situation. Carl leaned back in his chair, unable to contain his satisfaction any longer. Gloria, I have to be honest with you about something. His tone shifted from patronizing to almost confessional, caught up in premature celebration. We needed someone like you to help clean up some of our business complications. The admission hung in the air like smoke from a fired gun. Harvey shot Carl a warning look, but the damage was already done. Someone with your reputation, your credibility, your access to company records. Carl continued his confession, oblivious to the trap closing around him. You were the perfect pawn for what we needed to accomplish. The word pawn hit Gloria like a physical blow, exactly as intended. But instead of crushing her spirit, it filled her with righteous fire. Tasha joined the premature victory celebration with her own damning admission. The dementia rumors were genius, weren't they? Made everyone so sympathetic. Her laughter was cruel, celebrating what she believed was masterful psychological manipulation. By the time we're finished, no one will question your mental competency issues. The three conspirators shared looks of mutual congratulation and criminal satisfaction. Outside, Deborah was already drafting federal charges based on their recorded confessions. Gloria felt tears forming in her eyes, but not from the sadness they expected. These were tears of pure satisfaction, justice finally within her grasp. She turned away from them, walking toward the window overlooking her garden. 40 years I've lived in this house, she said quietly. Her voice carried none of the confusion they had come to expect. 40 years of mortgage payments, property taxes, careful financial planning. Carl frowned, sensing something different in her tone and body language. Gloria, are you all right? You sound different somehow. She turned back to face them, and her entire demeanor had transformed completely. Gone was the confused, elderly woman seeking their protective guidance. In her place stood a woman who had just heard everything she needed. You called me your pawn, she said with deadly calm. But pawns can become queens when they reach the other side. The room fell silent except for the nearly inaudible hum of recording equipment. Carl's face began to show the first flickers of dawning comprehension. Harvey's legal instincts kicked in, recognizing the sound of a trap snapping shut. Tasha's confident smile froze, confusion replacing her earlier predatory satisfaction. Gloria smiled for the first time all evening, and it was terrifying. Checkmate, Mr. CEO. Those words echoed through Gloria's mind as federal agents prepared for the morning raid. FBI Special Agent Maria Rodriguez reviewed the evidence package one final time. This is the most comprehensive elder fraud case I've seen in 20 years. Her team had spent 3 days analyzing Gloria's meticulous documentation. Video recordings, audio transcripts, financial records, forged documents, everything perfectly cataloged. The conspiracy charges alone will put them away for decades, she announced grimly. At 7 a.m. sharp, Henderson Import-Export's executive floor buzzed with unusual morning activity. The monthly board meeting was scheduled to begin in the glass-walled conference room. Carl Benson adjusted his silk tie, unaware this would be his final corporate performance. Board members filed in carrying their leather portfolios and steaming coffee cups. The familiar ritual of corporate power was about to be shattered forever. Carl opened the meeting with his usual confident smile and commanding presence. Gentlemen, ladies, let's review our third-quarter performance metrics. His voice carried the authority of someone accustomed to absolute control. Outside the conference room, elevator doors opened to reveal 6 federal agents. Special Agent Rodriguez led the procession, badge gleaming under fluorescent office lighting. Their footsteps echoed ominously across the marble floors, toward the executive suite. Inside the conference room, Carl was mid-sentence about overseas shipping contracts. Our Singapore operations have exceeded expectations by 12% this quarter. The irony was perfect, discussing legitimate business while federal agents approached. The conference room door burst open, with the force of inevitable justice. FBI, Carl Benson, you're under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and elder abuse. Agent Rodriguez's voice cut through the morning meeting like a sword through silk. Carl's face transformed from confidence to shock to desperate, calculating panic. His hands trembled as handcuffs clicked around his wrists with metallic finality. You have the right to remain silent, Rodriguez continued with professional satisfaction. The Miranda rights echoed through the stunned silence of the conference room. Board members sat frozen, their morning coffee growing cold in forgotten cups. Meanwhile, at her desk 3 floors below, Tasha Reynolds felt her world collapsing. Her computer screen displayed a federal warrant for her immediate arrest. 2 agents approached her cubicle with the steady pace of approaching doom. "Tasha Reynolds, please stand and place your hands behind your back." Her carefully constructed facade of professional competence crumbled into tears and desperation. "Please, I was just following orders. Carl made me do everything." Her voice broke as reality crashed down around her ambitious dreams. The once confident Harvard MBA was reduced to sobbing pleas for mercy. "I have student loans. I have a career to think about." But the agents had heard every excuse in the book during their careers. Harvey Tran's arrest took place simultaneously at his downtown law office. Federal marshals served warrants while he was meeting with another unsuspecting client. His expensive suit and polished reputation couldn't shield him from handcuffs. The news broke within hours, exploding across every major media outlet. "Corporate executive arrested in elder fraud conspiracy," screamed the headlines. Television reporters gathered outside Henderson Import-Export like vultures sensing carrion. 64-year-old accountant exposes million-dollar corporate conspiracy, announced Channel 7 News. The story had everything viewers craved: corporate greed, elder abuse, heroic justice. Gloria watched the coverage from her Brooklyn living room with quiet satisfaction. Her phone rang constantly with interview requests from reporters and producers. But she declined most media appearances, preferring to let her evidence speak. The federal courthouse steps became her stage for one carefully planned statement. She emerged wearing a charcoal gray suit that commanded respect and projected authority. Cameras flashed as reporters shouted questions about her investigation and victory. Gloria paused at the microphone, surveying the crowd with calm dignity. "For 37 years, I built my reputation on precision and integrity." Her voice carried across the courthouse plaza with unwavering strength. "These individuals believed my age made me vulnerable to their manipulation." She paused, allowing the weight of her words to sink in. "They discovered that experience is not weakness, it's a weapon." The crowd of reporters hung on every carefully chosen word. "I'm 64 years old. I may be slow to trust nowadays." Her slight smile carried decades of hard-won wisdom and steel-forged determination. "But I'm not too old to fight for what's rightfully mine." The statement became the lead quote on every evening news broadcast. Behind the scenes, federal prosecutors built an ironclad case using Gloria's evidence. Carl faced 15 federal charges, including conspiracy, fraud, and elder abuse. His company empire crumbled under the weight of fines and legal settlements. Henderson Import-Export paid Gloria $2.3 million in damages. The sum included compensation for emotional distress, lost wages, and punitive damages. Tasha received a lighter sentence in exchange for her full cooperation with prosecutors. Harvey Tran's law license was revoked permanently by the State Bar Association. Carl's trial dominated headlines for 6 months, becoming a landmark elder abuse case. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours before returning guilty verdicts. He received 12 years in federal prison without possibility of early parole. Gloria used her settlement money to establish High Tower Financial Forensics Consulting. Her new business specialized in helping elderly victims of financial fraud. Clients traveled from across the country to benefit from her expertise and experience. The Brooklyn brownstone remained her sanctuary, but now it symbolized something greater. It represented the power of intelligence, preparation, and refusing to be victimized. Former colleagues from Henderson called regularly, seeking her professional advice and friendship. The whisper campaign about her mental competency had been thoroughly debunked. Instead, industry publications wrote articles about her investigative brilliance and strategic thinking. Gloria kept Carl's final mugshot in her desk drawer as a reminder. Not of victory, but but of the importance of never underestimating anyone. She'd proven that wisdom, experience, and careful planning trumped youth and arrogance. At 64, Gloria High Tower had rewritten the rules about aging and power. Her story became legend in corporate boardrooms and law schools nationwide. The woman they'd tried to make a pawn had indeed become a queen. A house, a name, a legacy. 6 months after Carl's conviction, Gloria's Brooklyn brownstone hummed with purposeful activity. The mahogany dining room had been transformed into headquarters for her new mission. Hightower Financial Forensics occupied the first floor, serving clients nationwide through video consultations. But her real passion project operated from the converted basement office space. The Senior Financial Protection Alliance had become her greatest source of pride. Gloria partnered with AARP and the National Center on Elder Abuse Prevention. Her expertise in detecting financial fraud now protected thousands of vulnerable seniors. The irony wasn't lost on her, the woman they'd tried to victimize. Now she spent her days teaching others to recognize manipulation tactics. Her first client was an 80-year-old widow from Queens named Mrs. Chen. "My nephew keeps asking me to sign papers I don't understand," she explained. Gloria's trained eye immediately recognized the familiar pattern of financial exploitation. Within 2 weeks, she'd exposed a complex scheme involving forged documents. Mrs. Chen's nephew was arrested, her assets restored, her dignity reclaimed completely. Word spread through senior centers and community groups like wildfire across Brooklyn. Gloria's phone rang constantly with requests for help and consultation appointments. Each case reinforced her belief that experience was society's most undervalued resource. The New York Times profiled her in a Sunday feature titled "Brooklyn's Fiercest Financial Mind." Reporter Sarah Martinez had spent 3 days interviewing Gloria about her transformation. She dismantled a $1 million conspiracy using nothing but spreadsheets and determination, she wrote. The article's photograph showed Gloria in her home office, surrounded by case files. Her expression conveyed the quiet confidence of someone who'd found her true calling. The feature sparked interview requests from CBS, CNN, and Good Morning America. Gloria accepted selectively, choosing platforms that would educate rather than sensationalize. Her message remained consistent across every interview and public appearance. "Financial predators count on silence, shame, and isolation to succeed," she explained. "But knowledge, preparation, and community support make us invincible against their schemes." The neighborhood that had once whispered about her supposed dementia now celebrated her. Mrs. Patterson from next door arrived with homemade apple pie and tearful apologies. "I'm so sorry we believed those terrible rumors about your memory," she confessed. Her weathered hands trembled as she placed the dessert on Gloria's kitchen counter. "We should have known better than to doubt someone of your intelligence." Similar scenes played out weekly, as neighbors stopped by with flowers and regrets. The mailman, Mr. Rodriguez, lingered during deliveries to share his admiration. "You showed those corporate thieves that Brooklyn women don't play games," he said proudly. Even the local bodega owner, Hassan, refused to accept payment for her groceries. "You're a neighborhood hero now, Mrs. Hightower. This one's on the house." Gloria's brownstone had become a symbol of resistance against financial exploitation. Tour groups from senior centers regularly walked past, guides sharing her inspiring story. The house itself seemed to stand taller, its brick facade gleaming with renewed pride. Fresh flowers bloomed in window boxes, reflecting the life growing within its walls. One warm evening in late September, Gloria sat on her front porch swing. The same spot where she'd once worried about losing everything to corporate predators. Lou Alvarez climbed the front steps, carrying a bottle of aged bourbon. Deborah Quinn followed, her legal briefcase replaced with a bouquet of sunflowers. "Time to celebrate 6 months of justice served properly," Lou announced gruffly. His weathered face showed the satisfaction of a detective whose case stayed solved. Deborah settled into the wicker chair, her usual professional intensity softened by friendship. 3 federal convictions, 2.3 million in damages, 1 legendary comeback story. Gloria poured bourbon into 3 crystal glasses inherited from her grandmother's china cabinet. The amber liquid caught the streetlight, glowing like liquid gold in the twilight. To survival and strategy, she proposed, raising her glass toward the star-filled sky. To proving that wisdom trumps youth every single time, Lou added with conviction. Deborah's toast carried the weight of legal victories and personal vindication. To Gloria High Tower, who turned victimization into a masterclass in strategic warfare. They clinked glasses on the porch where the conspiracy had been finally exposed. The sound echoed through the quiet Brooklyn street like a bell announcing victory. "You know what's funny?" Gloria mused, swirling bourbon in her crystal glass. "Carl thought he was so clever, calling me his perfect pawn." Her laughter carried no bitterness, only the satisfaction of complete vindication and justice. But pawns that reach the other side become the most powerful pieces. Lou nodded appreciatively, understanding chess metaphors from his investigative background. "You didn't just become a queen, Gloria. You became the entire game board." The 3 friends sat in comfortable silence, watching neighbors walk their dogs. Children played hopscotch on sidewalks where Gloria's reputation had been fully restored. The Brooklyn evening wrapped around them like a comfortable blanket of community acceptance. "I've been thinking about writing a book," Gloria announced with mischievous timing. Her companions leaned forward, intrigued by the possibility of literary revenge. "Maybe I'll call it How to Scam the Scammers at 64. Lou's gruff laughter echoed off the brownstone facades lining the peaceful street. Chapter 1. When corporate predators pick the wrong grandmother, he suggested playfully. Deborah added her own contribution with professional precision and personal warmth. Chapter 2. Why financial literacy is the ultimate weapon against elder abuse. Gloria smiled, feeling the weight of her grandmother's pearl necklace against her throat. The same necklace she'd worn during Carl's confession that fateful evening. Now it felt like a medal of honor rather than family jewelry. The porch swing creaked gently as evening settled over their victorious celebration. At 64, Gloria High Tower had learned that endings could become beginnings. Her house remained her sanctuary, but now it also served others. A name once whispered with pity now commanded respect throughout Brooklyn. Her legacy would be measured not in dollars saved, but in lives protected. Consulting High Tower. The gold lettering gleamed on the office door of the renovated Brooklyn brownstone. Gloria High Tower had transformed her dining room into a professional sanctuary for justice. Oak bookcases lined the walls, filled with financial law texts and case studies. Her grandmother's mahogany desk now served as command central for a growing empire. The same table where Carl had confessed his crimes now hosted victory meetings. 9 months had passed since her courtroom triumph over corporate predators and conspirators. Hightower Consulting had become Brooklyn's premier financial protection firm for seniors nationwide. Her reputation for dismantling elder fraud schemes attracted clients from across America. The waiting list stretched 3 months, testimonies to her investigative brilliance and strategic mind. But Gloria never forgot where her mission began with one woman's refusal. Her first official client was Maria Santos, a 58-year-old widow from Queens. "My son-in-law keeps pressuring me to refinance my house," she explained tearfully. Her weathered hands shook as she described months of psychological manipulation and pressure. "He says it's for my daughter's medical bills, but something feels wrong." Gloria recognized the pattern immediately: family financial abuse disguised as emergency assistance. Her trained eyes spotted red flags in the refinancing documents within minutes. Predatory interest rates, unnecessary fees, and suspicious beneficiary clauses screamed criminal intent. "Mrs. Santos, you've just avoided losing your home to a sophisticated scam," she announced. The relief in Maria's eyes reminded Gloria why this work mattered so deeply. Within 2 weeks, Gloria had exposed the son-in-law's gambling debts and forgery. Police arrested him attempting to forge Maria's signature at a title company. Another family predator destroyed, another home saved, another woman empowered with knowledge. Word spread through immigrant communities, where financial predators often targeted vulnerable seniors. Gloria's bilingual assistant, Carmen Rodriguez, helped translate complex financial documents into understandable terms. The office buzzed with activity as case files multiplied across every available surface. Each folder represented someone's life savings, dignity, and right to financial security. Gloria worked 16-hour days, driven by memories of her own near destruction. Her expertise had evolved from corporate accounting into weapons-grade financial forensic investigation. Banks, lawyers, and investment firms now sought her consultation on elder abuse cases. Law schools invited her to lecture about detecting sophisticated financial manipulation schemes. She'd become the person she wished had existed during her darkest moments. The evening sun cast golden light through her office windows, painting everything amber. Gloria reviewed the day's final case file, an 82-year-old man from Detroit. His grandson had stolen his identity, opened credit lines, and destroyed his savings. Tomorrow's video conference would begin the process of financial justice and restoration. She closed the file with satisfaction, another puzzle ready for systematic dismantling. Her reflection in the window showed a woman transformed by purpose and vindication. At 64, she discovered that survival could become the foundation for greatness. The briefcase that once carried evidence against her tormentors now held weapons. Weapons of knowledge, experience, and an absolute refusal to let predators win. Gloria locked her desk drawers, securing client files with the same precision. The same attention to detail that had trapped Carl Benson now protected others. Her coat hung on the vintage rack Marcus had given her for Christmas. The wool felt heavier now, weighted with responsibility and hard-earned wisdom. Outside, Brooklyn's evening routine unfolded with familiar comfort and community warmth. Children played on sidewalks, where neighbors once whispered about her supposed dementia. Now those same neighbors waved respectfully, proud to live near Brooklyn's financial guardian. Gloria locked her office door, the gold lettering catching streetlight like a beacon. Her heels clicked against the brownstone steps with the rhythm of confident purpose. The same steps where federal agents had once planned Carl's dramatic arrest. Now they marked the end of another day spent protecting vulnerable seniors. A young woman approached from across the street, recognition dawning in her eyes. "Excuse me, are you really Gloria High Tower?" she asked with obvious excitement. Her voice carried the awe reserved for meeting genuine heroes and legendary figures. Gloria paused under the streetlight, her grandmother's pearls catching the golden glow perfectly. The question brought back memories of whispered doubts and corporate manipulation campaigns. Now her name carried weight, respect, and the fear of financial predators everywhere. She adjusted her wool coat with deliberate slowness, savoring the moment of recognition. "Damn right I am," she replied with a smile that could cut glass. Her voice carried 37 years of professional expertise and hard-won victories. The young woman's face lit up with admiration and obvious inspiration. "My grandmother talks about you all the time. You're her hero." Gloria felt the familiar warmth of knowing her work mattered beyond personal satisfaction. "Tell your grandmother that age is just a number," she said firmly. "Wisdom, experience, and determination, those are the numbers that really count." The young woman nodded eagerly, absorbing every word like gospel from a prophet. Gloria continued down the street, her footsteps echoing off familiar brownstone facades. The same neighborhood that had once doubted her now served as her kingdom. Street vendors nodded respectfully as she passed, their businesses thriving under her protection. Her reputation had become armor against anyone foolish enough to target Brooklyn seniors. At the corner bodega, Hassan emerged to lock his doors for the night. "Evening, Mrs. Hightower. Another day of catching the bad guys?" he called cheerfully. His smile reflected the genuine affection of a community that had embraced her completely. Always, Hassan. Sleep well knowing the neighborhood is protected, she replied warmly. The subway entrance beckoned, promising a peaceful ride home to her sanctuary. Her brownstone waited like a fortress of justice and personal triumph. The same house Carl had tried to steal now stood as proof. Proof that intelligence, preparation, and refusal to surrender could conquer any conspiracy. At 64, Gloria High Tower had learned that endings were often disguised beginnings. Her legacy would outlive any corporate predator or ambitious schemer who dared. No one underestimated Gloria High Tower again.